It's a fact. A new study out, Stanford University, shows a shocking trend. In 1970, 65% of families lived in middle-income neighborhoods. But by 2007, only 44% of people lived in middle-class areas. Now, on the other hand, today, 31% of people live in either very poor or very wealthy neighborhoods. 40 years ago, my friends, 40 years ago, half as many families lived in areas of poverty or affluence. So here we are again, the Big Eddie chart. This chart shows the growing income gap between the top 1% and the middle class and the wage earners of this country. Now, you tell me how we're going to turn this economy around if this chart continues to go in this direction. This report has more evidence showing the income gap growing. The different income levels are becoming increasingly segregated, and Republicans want to keep the trend going by slashing social programs, cutting taxes for the wealthy. You see, the wealthy in this country, well, they just don't have enough money. That's the Republican plan. And you want to know why people are out in the streets? This is why they're out in the streets. This survey gives us a snapshot in time exactly where this country has been and where we are going. And the question is, do we have the political will to do something about it? Now, I've been out and about all over the country, a lot of different cities over the last 60 days. In Portland, in Denver, in Minneapolis, in Madison, in Toledo, in Columbus, Ohio. The people get it, and they want fairness, and they understand what the 99%ers are saying. Joining me now is Congressman John Garamendi of California. Congressman, great to have you with us.
Yeah, it's good to be with you.
The numbers don't lie. How do we turn this around?
Well, we're going to have to create jobs. We're going to have to create those good middle-class jobs that have disappeared. You take a look at the manufacturing sector in America. It's lost 45%. 20 million jobs 20 years ago, just over 11 million now. So we've got to turn that around, and we can. We've got all the tools. We just have to employ those tools, which means Congress has to act. We've got to get the laws and the policies in place. Fail to do that, that's going to get worse.
Well, the middle-class Americans have the disposable income. And if you see that, a number that's being depleted year after year, how's the economy going to turn around if families, majority-wise, don't have disposable income?
They won't. It won't, and will continue to go downward, and will continue to be a second-rate country. But we can turn it around. But the policies are being written in Washington right now. You take a look at this super committee. What the super committee Republicans are proposing is to make that chart worse, because they want to give more tax breaks to the super wealthy. They're covering it up in many, many ways, and at the same time charge the middle class and the low income more money for their health care and more money for their education. It goes on and on. It is dead wrong.
I want to mention some of the effects of this growing income segregation that's taken place in America. The gap in standardized test scores between poor and rich kids is 40% bigger today than it was in 1970. This is about resources. The gap between rich and poor kids in college graduation is up more than 50% since the early 1990s. So the high income, the number of high-income college grads has risen from about 33% in the early 1990s to now 50% today. For low-income kids, it's only risen from 5 to 10%. Well, so this is really the conservative social change that they have been working for.
Well, if the wealth is going to fewer and fewer, those people are able to pay for good education. They're living in good places, in schools, and they can go to the best colleges. The poor, they're going downward. They're going into those schools that are not performing. They're being pushed out. And you take a look at the tuition for education across the United States. It's gone through the roof. And who can afford that? The rich. Can the middle class? They're getting pushed down. They can't afford it. We have to change that. And you can't just do it with loans. You've got to do it with tax policy so that those who have enjoyed extraordinary wealth over the last 10 to 15 years, it's time for them to pay their fair share. And yet the Republicans are going exactly the opposite way. They want to reduce the amount of taxes that the super wealthy, $1 million income.
Yeah.
Good heavens, enough already.
John Garamendi, great to have you with us. Congressman from California here on The Ed Show. Thanks so much.